You ever wonder why so many sample beats sound the same? Well, it's because most producers never go beyond the basics. But once you upgrade your sampling techniques, your beats become next level. So today I'm going to show you a cool sampling technique that you can add to your toolbox. It's simple to learn, plus it can help you make creative beats just like the greats. It's called the bedrock method. The Alchemist, one of the greatest producers alive, uses this technique in his beats, and today I'm going to show you how it works. So to do this technique, all you need are three things. The first one is simple, the second's a bit tougher, but the third is where most producers will make a mistake, so make sure you pay attention to this one. So let's start by looking at a couple of the Alchemist beats that use this bedrock method, and let's see if you can pick up on what these three ideas might be. Beat number one is 5 to 50 by Benny the Butcher.
I've been selling dreams of sleepless nigga. Tell the truth, that's the perfect business.
And beat number two is Scrape the Bowl by Boldy James.
Shout out to my shooter, when he drill you, that's a flagrant foul. Just put in for his appeal, he told me it might take a while.
Alright, let's break down these beats to see how this bedrock method works, and I'll even make a beat using this method at the same time to show you exactly how to do all of this. Now, the very first thing these beats have in common is the types of sounds they use. Take a listen to the sample used for 5 to 50. And here is the sample used in Scrape the Bowl. Both of these samples have dense, thick sounds in them that are constantly playing the exact same note. So this is the first thing that you need, a sample with a constant sound in it. The reason why this is important is because it helps the beat instantly sound much more full, but it also provides personality in the beat too. So let's do a little bit of digging for a sample that has this type of sound in it. Now, once you find a sample like this, you will run into a challenge. As you can imagine, a beat that just has one single sound playing the exact same thing forever, it would get boring and repetitive fast. And yet, when we break down how the Alchemist uses this technique, you'll see that he does a few smart tricks that prevents this problem from happening. And this is where we move on to the second idea. So let me explain what this is. Looking at Scrape the Bowl, for example, this thick, dark, eerie synth here is the bedrock sound that the Alchemist uses. But that's not the only thing in this sample. The Alchemist finds this piano that's also playing alongside this bedrock sound. And by chopping around this sound, the beat now has some musicality to it, and it no longer sounds repetitive. Same thing with 5 to 50. We have this secondary sound in the sample, which is this organ that plays along that bedrock in the sample. And this is exactly what gets used to help create a beat that actually feels musical. And this is the second idea to look out for to do this sampling technique and to prevent your beat from sounding boring and repetitive. Once you find a sample with a solid bedrock sound in it, next find a secondary sound or layer in the sample and chop around that in order to get your beat to sound more musical. So that's idea number two, find a secondary sound to chop around. So let's do that with our sample. You can hear there's a really great sounding piano inside of this sample as well. So this is what I'm going to focus on when I'm creating my chops. But there's one last key to doing the sampling technique and doing it well. If you think about what we have in our beat right now, we have this big, thick layer, that bedrock sound that's in the beat. Already, this is gonna fill up a ton of room. Then we have the secondary sound in the beat that will fill up even more space. So at this stage, you'll likely be left with very little room in your beat. And that's why this third and final idea is so important. Since there is so little room in the beat, you need to be careful with what else you add into your beat. For example, you'll notice that with the Alchemist beat, when we look at Scrape the Bowl, you will notice something interesting here. The drums in this beat aren't dense or full at all. They're simple textures with simple pattern. In fact, this drum pattern doesn't even have any hi-hats. It's just a kick and a snare. That's how simple it is. And while there are additional sounds and samples added into this beat, they're very simple percussive sounds and thin layers. There isn't a full additional musical idea that gets added into the beat. The closest thing to that is this simple Fender Rhodes idea that The Alchemist adds in. And the same is true for 5 to 50. Looking at the drums especially, we have these really thin sounds and smaller additional instruments beyond this. And this is a key difference compared to a lot of the more typical Alchemist beats. We're used to seeing a lot of detail and layering coming in and out of the beats, but when he uses this technique, he's limited with how much he adds in because of how much is already in the beat from the sample. So going back to our beat, let's only add a few more layers. First, let me see what notes are actually in the sample since I'm not that good with music theory. And I can use this to easily build a chord that will work perfectly with my sample. I'll even test it out by previewing how it sounds to make sure it sounds good. And I want to point out this plugin is Note Grabber 2, which is coming out very soon. I'll announce it hopefully in the coming weeks. But I like how this pattern sounds, so I'm going to drag it into my beat and use my own sound here. And like I mentioned, I'm not trying to build a full musical idea or pattern. This beat is already so full, so I only have room for a simple idea. Same thing with the drum pattern and the bass. I'm gonna grab thinner sounds and build a simple pattern that also doesn't take up as much room in the beat either. So when you do this technique, it can help to choose thinner sounds and ideas. Don't try to force complex ideas when you use this technique because most likely there's just not going to be enough room, which is the final idea. Only add thin, simple ideas onto your sample. And again, if you struggle to add your own ideas onto samples, think about trying Note Grabber by clicking the thing next to me here. Version 2 is coming out soon, which will be a free upgrade for current users. But if you do want to learn more Alchemist beat making techniques, check out the video that just popped up next to me. Like and subscribe and choose one of these things to click on. The choice is yours. So click.